Welcome back to IMC Live, an interactive series hosted by the Industrial Marketing Collective. I'm Alan Finewald, Associate Content Director at Gorilla 76, the industrial marketing agency, and one of your IMC Live hosts. Most B2B landing pages are built to convert. We're always wanting conversions. But what if, in many cases, that's the wrong goal? That's why we are here with Taz Bober, excuse me, landing page strategist and founder of the Scroll Lab to rethink how we approach landing pages for complex products and services. So today, she'll help us cover why on-page conversions can be misleading success metrics, how to build pages that serve buying committees, not just individual clicks, what it actually looks like to match your landing page to the B2B buying journey. And we're going to also cover lots of stuff from structure to messaging strategy. So Tass is going to share what it takes to create landing pages that give buyers the information they need to build a business case and put you on a short list, not just get a click right away that might not even be anything meaningful. So Tass, thanks so much for being on here with us. How you doing?
That was great. I want to just take that paragraph, we'll put it on the website. I feel like I try to say that on my website, but then it doesn't say that. Maybe I should hire you guys,
I
even though
was
I'm not.
inspired by honestly your LinkedIn post too. I was
Oh,
like, man,
oh,
strong
so I
point
did
two over
write that.
here.
That's good. We were just talking about how I have the worst memory. So great. I'm gonna pull a Snoop Dogg. I would like to thank me for all the hard work that I've done. Thank you so much for having me. Welcome, everyone. Alan has already informed us that we get wild on these calls, which is great because that's my kind of party. I will not, I want this to be interactive. And I know some of you submitted landing pages. Yay. I have done one audit before we got on the call. We're going to do three of them live. But I like to talk about some concepts and landing pages. If you're wondering, why should I listen to this lady? She just made a rap joke, and apparently that gives her credibility. I used to work in-house at B2B companies. I talk about two types of B2B. One is the real B2B, which is non-SaaS, right? We're the ones, I mean, and that's where I spent most of my career. It was like insurance marketplaces, um, TV stations, just like a random hodgepodge economic development where we would work 3 years and then get $1 billion deal. And we're like, all right, cool, we're good. We brought Intel to Columbus, and I guess I'll see you guys in 10 years when you need me to bring in another big deal. And then I went to manufacturing SaaS, and then I did Martech. And I was all head of digital and website. And my claim to fame is that I had to redesign 400 websites when I was in house. It sounds crazy, and it was. I'm cheating a little bit because at one job we had 389 websites, but they got hacked and we had to rebuild them. And then they got hacked a second time and we had to rebuild them again. So that was great. It made me learn a lot. So the reason why I can come here and talk to you about these things is because I've effed up a lot. Okay. And hopefully you don't have to F up as much as me. And then since then, I started my consultancy. I've worked with 50 companies. Both, I would say about half my clients are non-SaaS. Some of them were manufacturing companies. So we're going to talk about that. Some principles will still apply to everybody. Before we get into the audits, I have a workspace for you. It will be shared at the end. So don't worry, you will have access to this. And then we're going to go through some concepts very quickly. And then we're going to look at these audits from the eyes of those concepts because they kind of fight some of the traditional best practices and POVs we have about how landing pages should work. Okay? Questions? I just spat my water out.
400
Cool.
websites is a
Love it.
lot.
It is a lot, but you know what? Trauma, we learn the most from trauma. So that's just it's all my experience is just a bunch of trauma bonding with my colleagues.
You'll
Okay,
fit right in this group then.
great. Love it. We can share our traumas later. I also grew up with an Asian mom. That's a story for another day. But Anyway, okay. Let me know if you can see my screen. It's hard because I can't really see everybody, Zooms like that. There we go. Okay, perfect. Can you see? Yes, thumbs up. Great, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so in this workspace that you will have access to, I'm going to go through these quick level setting, cute infographics that I made when I was trying to illustrate how we should look at landing pages. These are also available on LinkedIn with some text in there, but you have me, so you don't need the text. There's an example audit that I've done for a company, how I tend to look at them. We're obviously not going to go all into like the technical part, yada, yada. There are some examples of landing pages out there. And the reason why this exists is not because they are good examples of landing pages. This is just landing pages in general. And what I like to do is because misery likes company, I like to tell people, hey, you're not the only one. There are big companies out there like NetSuite who's had the same landing page for the last 8 years. Like, it sucks. Okay. So it's okay. We all collectively are not doing very good in the landing page area. So like, don't be hard on yourself as I begin to shred your little babies and call them ugly or whatever, sorry. Okay. So first concept is about half of B2B, no matter what campaigns you're running, whether it's email, whether it's paid, whatever the case may be, only half of B2B campaigns go to actual dedicated landing pages. We usually just dump them on the homepage. So I felt it necessary to tell people your homepage and your landing page is not the same. A web page and a landing page is not the same. Technically, you're like, well, you kind of land on it. So isn't it a landing page? I'm like, sure. But there are some reasons why you would want to have an isolated experience. If you have an isolated campaign with an isolated goal and an isolated target audience, and you need to make optimizations based on isolated data points, right? And the reason I use this, and I'm going to tell you because this is real, my mom has visited every website that I've worked on because she's proud of me. Do I want to be making assumptions and optimizations based on how my mom is browsing the website? No. So you think about your websites and you're dumping your campaign stuff there, especially if you're spending money on this, right? Whether it's trade, whether it's paid, whatever it is, you're spending money on this, you're putting effort into this, you dump them onto your main website. Think about all the people that come to your main website. You have your existing customers. Who cares about those? Because you want new ones, right? I don't know. And then you have job candidates. You have your existing employees. You have prospects, the ones that we would like to interact with the website. You have your CEO who's checking the homepage 100 times to make sure that you've put in the awards and things like that that no one cares about. All of these things, right? So you have all these people coming here. Now think about that as you go deeper into the site. There are multiple people visiting the site and you're making these assumptions. Wow, it's doing so great. Or, hey, we get a ton of traffic and no one is converting because a job candidate is not going to convert on that. They might be doing research for an interview, right? So always best practice, try to have an isolated landing page if you have some kind of campaign and you have an isolated goal. So just think about that. So there's a difference between homepage, landing page. I won't go into each specific ones. You can look at this and if you have any questions, let me know. I have a resource hub where you don't have to like skim through my LinkedIn. It's free. It has all the posts in there. You can just look up homepage and it'll give you the text that goes along with these graphics and dig into that further. Okay. So I have some things here on why using a dedicated landing page. There are a few things. Number one, the promise. So if you're running an ad, you're running an email, you're running anything in a trade publication, whatever it is, and you're saying, come check out our white paper, and then they land on your homepage, that's going to be a problem. I always use Old Navy as an example because I'm a 36-year-old mom. I like to shop at Old Navy. Cute stuff. Okay. But one thing that I cannot stand about Old Navy is I will write petite pants thinking I'm so sly on Google. And then I hit the Old Navy ad that says petite pants and it dumps me on the homepage every single time. You know how annoying it is for me to take 3 extra clicks to find petite pants on their website when they had the opportunity to just take me there? It is how you deliver on the promise of the ad or where you're driving the user from. Number one. Number two, policies. If you are running paid ads, specifically anything on Meta, if you're running anything on Google, they have new policies as of 2025 in February where if your landing pages aren't relevant to your ads, they will not serve up your ads no matter how much money you chuck at it. Okay. So you will be DQ'd very quickly from the game. It was so funny because they just put it in a blog post. They didn't really tell anyone. We just kind of stumbled upon it. And it was crazy because there was a frenzy on LinkedIn the following month where it was like, search is dead. My things have tanked and yada yada, and everything was working fine. It's because they release these policies and they don't tell you, and it's up to you to stay compliant. Precision, this is the part where I told you, hey mom, I love you so much, please don't come to my landing page. Okay, so you are not allowed here. I know you have no boundaries, but please respect my privacy, don't come to my landing page. Here you have more control over the audience that's coming to your landing pages, right? And now you can start to make optimizations based on the right target's behavior. Okay. Even if it's a small subset. And then finally, proof. So now I can tell you this right now with all the websites I had to manage, there was not a single website where I could have just woke up one day and thought, wow, you know what would be a really good headline? This one. So let me go to this website and the homepage and just change the hero. The amount of fires, the slacks or team messages I would have gotten if I changed a hero without at least 6 people's approvals, the end, right? So when I came up with the landing page frameworks, I'm like, look, an isolated landing page is like a marketer's playground, okay? We don't have to ask permission for anything. So if there's founders and CEOs on this call, please plug your ears. This is for the marketers, which is you can go in, you can test different headlines. You could rapidly test hypotheses like what CTA should I run? Should I try this? Should I change an image? Should I switch to a headline? All of these things. And then go into your reporting meetings and say, hey, it wasn't based on gut. There's data to support these 3 headline tests that I ran in the last month. Okay. It gives you a lot of freedom and autonomy, something that we lack in general, all of us together.
Cass, this is another thing that we like sometimes when we have a really, really, I think, touchy leadership team that we're working with inside another company, we're like, why don't we use something like Unbounce or HubSpot landing pages so it's not even like their website? So to truly protect that space and give the freedom that's needed to test.
Yeah, exactly. And then if a founder, for whatever reason, or your CEO happens to stumble upon the landing page, you have a built-in excuse. Oh, we're just testing. Ask for forgiveness later. Here are some links to the Google update on the compliance stuff, so you know I'm not making that up. And then this one is my favorite graphic of all time. And that is, there are actually 4 types of landing pages. But in B2B, we are trained to only have one type of landing page, okay? Which is this demo page or like a lead magnet. So you have like a white paper page, whatever form, but you close your eyes, both pages look kind of similar. They have a form up top right, some text on the left. Maybe you're going to throw some, things you want to call out. In SaaS, they love to just do the feature dump. And then, all right, let's go, So it's either this low friction, like low buyer intent stuff, or we go super high buyer intent, conversion focused. We send all traffic to both pages. And I love to use this analogy. I met my husband on Tinder 12 years ago. And while we both had the same goals, we're in the suburbs. We have 2 kids, picket fence. He's caged me in this place, whatever, right? Married me. I'm in this, 12-year relationship or whatever. Cool. Living the dream life. However, if his first message to me on Tinder was, hey, you like dogs? Cool. I like dogs. You want to get married? I'd be like, wow, goodbye forever. You've been ghosted. And I would have missed out my opportunity to be with this dude. Tinderellas. Oh, that's cute. I know people tell me about Hinge. I'm like, you do what now? Do you still swipe? Like, what's going on? So I always think about it that way, which is you're doing this for complex products where you're saying, oh, hey buyer, you don't even know what I do yet, but you want to hang out? You want to do it? You want to You want to sign a legal contract. So I think in today's post, I put the demo page template out, and I was just like, it's like a stranger coming up and saying, hey, you want to co-sign my lease? You're like, excuse me? So think about that like contextually. What if Old Navy was like, you put in your credit card information and then I'll show you the pants? They're gonna be like, yeah, no thanks. This is a scam, right? But it is industry practice. But there's so much that actually has to happen between when they're at this low friction, low buyer intent ask. So you're bringing them in, you're showing them some value. Then you got to date them a little bit. You're going to say, hey, here's what we do. We do serve your vertical, your segment, right? It's more education focused. And then you go into how do you compare to other options in the market? What do my peers say about you? How much do you cost? Only half of B2B shows pricing. Fine, we're complex. It's different for buyers, yada yada. I have a client whose average deal size is $50,000, and then they say like starting at 30K. You don't have to put your entire price out there. My recommendation is that. Do I win that argument? No. And then you say, okay, good. Look, we've dated a little while. You've gotten to know me. Do you want to hang out? And that's where the demo and sign up experience comes in. So that's kind of how we're thinking about landing pages. And I want you to think about landing pages as we go into the audits today is this. Immediately, I know half of you are like, well, how am I supposed to measure the effectiveness of that? We will get to that, I promise.
Yeah, and that speaks to something that came up in the chat too about how sometimes your best customers are your current customers, and that's great. You can move straight, they're already in halfway down the funnel, and you can move straight to the comparisons and the reviews and the pricings that will hopefully
Yeah.
make them buy more of your stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes your existing customers, they're like, well, I already bought for you. What do you want from me? And I think then it still requires some more education, right? To upsell an account. They still require some education in terms of, okay, yeah, you've worked with us. I mean, we just did these ABM pages for a manufacturing company. They only target existing customers because they're like, we are already pretty big in the market. We've worked with everyone we want to work with. But it's now about getting more projects and sometimes about getting more projects in another location. So there's divisions of our customers that don't know who we are. So if you think about that, that still requires a lot of education. And I like to use this, which is when I was in-house, and the reason why I look at it this way is because I was the one with the budget in-house, okay? I was head of digital website. I had $10 million in budget. I had to spend it on not just paid programs, but also on purchasing tools, partnering with vendors. I had to do all of these things. And the funny thing is, me as a buyer and me as a marketer are two very different people. Okay. As a marketer, I'm like, yes, let's put them on this landing page and we're going to trap them. And they have no choice but to convert on this page and they're not leaving until they do that. Okay. And then as a buyer, I'm like, this is so annoying. Where's all the information? I have to put this business case deck together. And I had this deck and it had what the problem was. What are the ways we can solve them? I can either do it myself. It's going to cost this much in resources, our cost over time. I can cobble up some like middle of the road solution, or I can partner with a company to help do it. It's more pricey, but it'll get us there faster. I would show the resources, the pricing, and then at the end, I would show what the timeline and implementation would be, what stakeholders are involved. And I would go on my little Taylor Swift tour inside the company and get all the necessary approvals before I'd come back to the vendor and say, okay, I got approval on this. That's what's happening between all of your touch points until they get the approvals. Now, tell me this. It took me about 30 days to go back and forth with the reps at these companies to try to piece together this information, go to the landing pages, go to the websites, do all of that. And then we have the audacity to complain about how long our deal cycles are when we are part of the problem. Okay, it's us. Hi, it's me. We are the ones shielding this information, yet we expect our buyers to be adults and make 100,000 plus buying decisions, but we don't treat them like adults enough to give them the information they need in order to make that decision. Okay, so that is all that is like coming in here is what is the information they need to justify that next step with you. And that's the information that needs to go on these landing pages. Speaking of landing page builder or CMS, I'm not going to get into it, but there's like a little video here that you can click me, click me. Okay, the reason is I don't know why I can't make this bigger than it is. So therefore, I'm screaming for help right here. Okay, so make sure that you don't miss this, but you can go look at that video of when to use CMS versus a landing page builder. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure that I'm okay. Trapping item on Instagram. Mitchell reminder. Okay, can you recommend a visitor tool for landing page that shows company? Oh, visitor ID tool. I mean, there's tons. Yeah, there's like lead feeder. What was one that I mean, if you have an ABM type tool too, like any kind of like Sixth Sense, there's like Vector, there's a bunch of ones where you can also run programmatic, which I wouldn't recommend, but they also do website identification. Some of them do contact level, which is kind of like, and then some do account level, which is probably sufficient for what you need. So the company that I was working with for ABM and stuff, they use demand. Dang. I'll give you some names later. Okay. And then we're going to look at how you should measure the buying journey if you can't do it directly on the landing pages to level set. It takes about 211 days for the B2B customer journey. Okay. So you're not going to get conversions right away. Let's just accept that truth. Take a moment. Okay, we've accepted it. 70% of the customer journey takes place outside of the sales pipeline. Before they even engage with your white paper or come to your website or talk to you, they've already done a lot of the research, okay? They already understand like what their problems are. They're trying to do a lot. And now with LLMs, they're doing a lot of stuff without ever coming to you, okay? The typical time between MQL and SQL is 107 days, which is like crazy. So you need about 76 touch points, right? From start to finish, 3.5 channels, 7 stakeholders. And yet we think that we are going to have them convert on a high ticket, complex purchase within the first visit. Okay. That's not going to happen. I don't buy pants on the first visit. My Amazon cart has 13 things on it for the last 72 days. Okay. I have not bought anything. So we're not going to do that for huge purchases. And we're going to measure using a few things. We're going to measure consumption first before conversions. Conversions, B2C has that luxury. We do not have that luxury. Okay. There are 3 areas we're going to look at. Pre-conversion, which is the content on the page going to move us towards a conversion? What are the positive and negative indicators? Then there is the conversion itself. So form completes, form abandons, that kind of stuff. And then what happens post conversions? Are your conversations going better? Anecdotal. Are your deals moving faster? If you had a 90-day sales cycle, is it 87 now? So we're going to look at some of those movements in aggregate, and that is the way we're going to measure things in B2B. If you don't follow Paramark on LinkedIn, Pranav, he talks a lot about B2B measurement in this way, not using like an attribution company tool or whatever. He's actually talking about statistically, how would you measure risk and de-risk with B2B purchases. Okay, that was a lot. Any questions before I proceed?
We did have one in the chat. Karen, you want to come on and ask? Karen May?
Sure. Sure. I don't have my camera on because I'm in a weird setup, but I we are about to embark on a full Microsoft CRM, and the marketing or the digital platform tool is Customer Insights, which offers landing pages. So I'm wondering, does the platform, I know HubSpot does that too. Does the platform matter as long as it's connecting and pulling everything into your CRM that you need?
No. So the reason why I do all my work in Figma is because I'm tool agnostic. So I don't actually care what tool you use. I think ultimately, if you look at this video with landing page builder versus CMS, I talk about each one and the pros and cons of them. I have this, when I'm talking about these pages right here, this side, the left-hand side, tend to be evergreen pages, right? So they don't change as much. In those instances, it's actually okay to just build them in your CMS, but more as not part of your navigation. It doesn't matter what tool you use, whatever your CMS is. Some CMSs, there's not a perfect one, but some CMSs add a lot of bloat to the site, meaning it can cause it to load slowly. So you could have the best landing page on planet Earth, but if it does not load, no one sees it, they are going to bounce. It's not going to be effective. So I think ultimately, whatever the infrastructure is that you choose, is it sound? Make sure that it is sound and can handle what you want it to do. So WordPress sites, for example, they tend to be easy to customize, but because they're easy to customize, they get heavy very quickly, meaning they take a lot of time to load and they have a lot of bloat. So it's just one of those things where any infrastructure just needs to be managed well. So it doesn't matter ultimately what you do. Just think about the scope of rework you would have to do if you built a landing page in a landing page builder and you're like, eventually I want this to come to my site. Are you going to have to rebuild it on your site or spend dev hours to rebuild it on your site? But if it's a one-off, like you're doing a white paper, we used to use Unbounce all the time because we could run like 3 or 4 tests on it all the time. And so it ultimately just depends on what your scope is, the resources that you have available, and then how are you going to manage technical bloat? Because ultimately that's the downfall of most websites, regardless of CMS. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, that was very helpful. Thank you. And I'm in Columbus too, so go Bucks.
Oh, yay. Okay. We're going to have a party, Wes, right? He promised me before this call. It's fine. It wasn't recorded, but we'll take him
I
out.
would love nothing more. Let's do it.
Housewarming party at Wes's house. Okay. Yeah, lead forensics, lead feeder. Yes, demand based. Thank you. Sorry. Some things just and then Pranav, thank you for putting his stuff in there. OHIO. My husband's an Ohio University fan. So every time we looked at houses and they had like the Buckeye colors, he was like, we got to repaint this. And I am more of a go sports. Like yay, whatever, So anyway, okay. That's that. Here are some examples of other people also sucking, so don't worry about that. Let's go into the live audits. Are we ready?
Yeah, we've got about 15 minutes left in our regular scheduled programming, so it sounds good.
Amazing.
I'll
Don't
hang
worry.
as long as we want, but yeah, no, it's
Yes.
awesome.
Don't worry. I don't think it's gonna take all of that time. You'll notice some of the patterns, but I'm gonna go with Jax first and
Yeah, I believe this
Erica.
is Erica. Yeah, yeah. And then I know Jake is here, and I saw also Audrey. I haven't seen Luke yet, but I know he's got a family vacation, so he was going to try and sneak away, but you know how that goes.
He got caught.
Yes. Okay. So here's some context. First of all, thank you so much for providing the website. When I did this last roundtable, people were so scared to submit landing pages to me, but this group is like, we're here to party. We're going to do it. So thank you for doing it. Here's some context on this. If you want to just give it very quickly, so I'm not reading through this, I think your peers would understand even better than I would understand. And then we can go through some of the changes here very quickly. And then I think I'm going to do Jake's page after this since he's here and has very important question that I think would benefit the entire group. Okay. All right, Erica, we're ready. I see you.
Okay, so my landing page. All right. Basically, this was created. We've been getting a lot of questions, particularly from Europe, about MOSH and MOA in lubricants. It's basically some complex hydrocarbons that people are concerned it could accumulate in tissues in the body. MOA, which is aromatic hydrocarbons, they're found to be genotoxic and carcinogenic. And so they're starting to get banned in Europe. And so we're really looking at the chemical composition of our lubricants and kind of preparing for the potential for MOSH and MOA to be banned in the US. This could be years out for us. It takes a long time, as you know, in any industry for something to roll out to us, but we are starting to reformulate for Europe and LATAM now because LATAM follows Europe well also. And so we're starting to educate. We're finding a lot of food companies are looking at us like, what are you talking about? Those with European headquarters are understanding. So we are starting to see a little bit of familiarity. But basically, right now, we're just putting this up there to educate and show that we're an early adopter of this for the US market. And we already do have a lot of lubricants that are naturally MOSH MOA free. But basically, we just wanted to educate with this landing page and evolve it over time to be a lead gen tool when it gets to that point.
And it is available on your main website, or you just have the main website navigation?
We did link it there, just to provide another channel for people to get it too. But right now we're not promoting it. Like we are, if it, there's an educational newsletter within an industry publication, things like that, we'll promote it. Like, hey,
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
you're aware of this upcoming regulation, upcoming European regulations, things like that. But we're not actively like, check out our marshmallow free, solutions. So.
Okay. All right. So I made that assumption here where I said the source of traffic tends to be trade publications or some organic channels. So
Mhm.
that's okay. If in the event you want to isolate, and you're like, okay, we're running an email campaign to X number of people, there are customers or prospects, and we want to see how many of those prospects are interacting with this, you can create a version of this that is just for those people. Okay. So you can
Okay.
keep the main one on your website, and then you can create a new one on like a separate, just hidden, where only the people from that channel can get through. Now you're going to say, Tass, why can't you just use UTMs, yada, yada? Buyers, users are becoming very savvy. They will strip UTMs. They have tools that will strip UTMs. This is just a cleaner way to do it than you're not sitting there, oh, I forgot the UTM. And this just becomes a whole tracking nightmare. Sometimes if you just have a page that's just dedicated to a channel, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay. The other thing that you can do is then implement a heat map on the specific pages, driving from specific publications or emails, whatever, and then see how people on those channels interact with the pages separately. Okay. And for heat mapping tools, you can literally use anything that you want. Microsoft Clarity just made theirs 100% free. And I've just used Hotjar forever, so that's what I use. But anyone who uses heat mapping tools knows that they're a pain in terms of slicing and dicing, or which one came from which channel. So this way, again, this heat map, this landing page, this specific channel, and you can get some additional data points on, wow, the people we sent to via email are far more engaged than the ones from the publication. Okay, all right, I see it. So things like that, okay? And then on the navigation to do what I call an anchor nav, which is one where the user can quickly jump down to specific parts of the landing page. Specifically, if this is a long landing page, those are really beneficial. For the white papers and stuff, not necessary. But if you're running paid, especially paid search to any of these types of landing pages, you're going to have a navigation element. Just don't put your main website navigation on it. Okay. All right. Now, second thing that I like to do is I'm going to talk about this eyebrow. So I don't know if you've heard of the eyebrow or not. Sometimes an eyebrow is a quick signal to the user to tell them what this page is about. Okay. So it could be something like white paper. So they understand what place they're at. Is this just an update? And am I going to see the update right below? And then suddenly you're like, actually get the white paper. And they're like, oh, that's not what I thought it was. I thought I was just reading about the update. So just tell them quickly what it is so they understand what it is. If it's an event, virtual event, IMC, virtual party, whatever it is, okay? Just let them know so they understand quickly. Humans like categories, they like frames of reference. Give them frames of reference, lower confusion, okay? I think this is fine. My main thing is the background, and you'll notice 3 out of the 4 landing pages that were provided to me have text over some kind of image. About 25% of the internet has trouble reading websites, and they fall under the web accessibility guidelines where there's sometimes not enough contrast. Then you have an image that has a lot of dark and light. And then if you have text on here, sometimes parts of the text won't be visible. Sometimes we put text directly in the image, right? It's not like a block where it's typed over. It is literally in the image. They won't be able to read that, okay? Metadata won't be able to skim it. LLMs won't be able to provide it as a reference because it doesn't see that text. So these are things that you have to think about. I would always opt for plain and clear so that they can actually read the text on the background. It's okay if it's boring. It's fine. This is not going to give them value. So we're okay. Okay. Very beautiful mosaic though. So, I have to still be like, your baby's really cute though, still. It's for general purposes. Okay. I like the inside the white paper. I think some of the things when it comes to white papers, ebooks, that kind of stuff, is we like to prepare them for what's in there. Like, hey, we're going to talk about the how and the why and the whatever. Sometimes with white papers, to create a little more urgency, it's like I call it the Costco sampler. Costco gives you a little bit of the product and you're like, okay, I want the whole damn bag. Okay. So here, if you have statistics in there, or you have like, maybe they release like 7 principles or something, you give away 3 for free. I mean, you're already ungating this, which is amazing. Most of B2B doesn't do that. One, I would tell people that if they click that, they're not going to be taken to a form. That's like the first thing, because they're going to be like, oh, cool, that's amazing. So it's like, get the white paper, no form required. You know how it's like, start free, no credit card needed. That no credit card needed text is very important. Same thing here. Get the white paper, no information needed. We don't need your email. Give them, if there's like 5 or 6 regulations, give them 3 of them for free up here and say, get the other 2. We go into each one of these in depth and 2 more in the white paper. Okay. You already told me how many downloads that you got. You probably have a lot more. That was just from the one publication. Put that on here. Okay. So join, get access, join like whatever, 200 other, whoever your ICP is, and get access to these new regulations so you can stay compliant, whatever it is, right? So those are the types of things that we're going to look at to create urgency. Okay, your CTAs. It's a very short page, but let's count how many ways and things we ask of the audience, okay? Can you contact us? Okay. Hey, download the white paper. Hey, get the white paper. Hey, you want to see this case? Hey, do you have questions for us? Okay. Hey, do you want to call? Okay. So now what happens is, and again, I focus a lot on behavioral psychology on websites. The human brain can only process 4 pieces of information at a time. And that's why we're trying to make it as easy. The minute they come here and they're like, white paper, they understand what that is, it's out. Now they have capacity for one more thing in their slot of 4, okay? You have 6 CTAs. What is the thing that you want them to do the most? You want them to get the white paper. Once they hit the white paper, then you can say, hey, do you have any questions about this? We're happy to answer that. Okay. So you can make it as a follow-up. Don't make it compete with the primary action you want them to take on the page. Okay.
Sure. With it being ungated, how do you send a follow-up? Is it just within the white paper?
Yeah, within the white paper. So you can do that. If this goes to a different page, so we used to do I did this whole project where we moved all our white papers. It was the PDF to HTML migration. I don't know why I come up with these ideas. And then my boss says yes. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I have to do this for 300 reports. And so we actually made the white paper not a PDF. Like we offered it to them in a PDF form, but we also just made it a web page. So almost like a long form blog. Then what we did was we put heat maps on each of these. And then we were able to see how much of the white paper or report they consumed, which parts they thought were super important. Those were the things we ran in ads. And then we also offered it to them as a PDF, but then we put like a contact us at the bottom of those pages. So that's a way you can do that as well. But bravo on ungating. I don't even do that on my own site. Anyway, okay. So that's kind of the main thing with white papers. Any other questions here? Erica.
I think it's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of B2B websites who, like if you click on the ad and go on the landing page, they'll have the form, like they'll have like their headline, subline, and the form right on the right-hand side, which I think is like such a terrible thing, kind of like what you were saying before, because like I don't even know you, I don't even know like what the product is, and you're already asking for my information. So for me personally, every time I design landing pages in Unbounce, I have the form at the bottom, and the idea is that the landing page is a story. We have to get to know you, what's the problem, da da da, and we have the form at the bottom. But I wanted to test that logic and see, like, is there a difference, or like, is it better or worse to have the form at either the top, throughout, the bottom? Like, I only ever use one CTA throughout my landing pages, and it's always dedicated to the form, because similar to what you were saying earlier, I don't want to distract any users on on my landing page. The goal is to get like your information at the end of the day. So all of my CTAs only go to the form, and I usually keep it on the bottom, but I wanted to just like get some feedback about that logic. Like, am I missing something? Is there a better way to do it?
Do you want to come work for me?
Bro,
Because that's
yeah,
like,
I'm
she's like,
thinking, but like,
I'll hit you up after. No, that is my exact logic as well. It is, you have to think about it like a story, right? You're dating before you're asking them to marry you. And so when you look at, I'm going to pull up like my workspace demo of how I actually show it and build them for clients. You'll notice that my demo page is the only page where I say it's acceptable to have the form up top. Okay. Because at this point, they have already um, completed a lot of the research, both that you have provided, and now it's like, all right, it's time to make a decision. We've been dating for a while. Are we exclusive or not? Like, what's going on here, right? So, but if you look at any other page that I have, the overview page, it's all showcasing the value first. I am earning the right to make the ask. You have to think about it that way, right? So what happens here is now people are like, well, how are they going to find the form? Trust me, they will find the form. Okay. So there's a few ways they can do that. In the anchor nav, you're going to have, I told you, links that will jump to every section on the page. This is cool too, because in heat mapping, you'll see what's the most important part to them. And I used to think it was testimonials, and that's where people went, or pricing, because, we're like really excited in B2B when someone shows pricing. FAQs are actually the number one most clicked on block that people go to on any landing page. And then this, if you have this as sticky, they always have access to get a demo. So if they click on this, it anchors all the way to the bottom right here. Okay. So this is an anchor. We're going to save it for the end. You're going to give them all the information in order for them to justify talking to you in the first place. So you're spot on in the sense that we want to save that real estate for that. Now with white papers and ebooks and stuff, like there's not a lot of education that needs to happen. It's pretty straightforward. But even in this case with Erica, where she didn't use this real estate to put the form up there. She's like, hey, here's an indication that it's this white paper and we're talking about these regulations and whatever. But could you? Sure. More than likely, I would talk about why they need to even spend the time and go down there. The other piece is, I think it's because everyone heard the statistic, which is only 30% of clicks end up at the bottom of a landing page. So they're like, oh, I better put the form up top because it's most important to me. But what's most important to them? And you'll notice, with my clients, when I do these long form landing pages, because everyone's like, what? This is weird. That's not a landing page. It's funny because they have like 50 to 60% who will hit the bottom with these long form landing pages. And people will find the form, but you just got to start with the value first. So you're spot on there with not starting with the form. Okay. So there's a lot of similar things here. I also did say if I can't get to the deep audits on all of these pages, please don't worry. I will complete them. When you get this workspace, you will still have them. So for anyone who did submit and we don't go over them, I just want to put your mind at ease and you can ask me questions after that. I don't like disappear from the face of the earth. But I want to talk about Jake's situation. Jake, are you here? Where's Jake at?
I'm right here. Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Jake.
Hi.
You're the reason I'm here. Did you know that?
This was Jake's topic request like last fall, and we're finally getting here.
Oh, he's like, I'm over this. I'm over this now. I've moved on to new problems last fall.
No, I'm really this is really helpful. So yeah.
Okay, good. Good. It's not you. You're not going crazy. Okay. So Jake said, I just focus on landing pages with our websites to generate leads. And the reason why I'm going to read yours is because yours is the exact situation that 90% of B2B companies and B2B marketers face. Okay. So far, the results have been, we do pretty well on the products with simple buyer processes, right? So we're talking about the Old Navy type orders. People come in, maybe 2 or 3 visits, and they purchase, okay? But on the big ticket items, the ones that are most important for us to sell, which come with complex, lengthy buyer timelines, we have zero customer traction. Coming in, I thought I was familiar with landing pages and lead gen forms, and my experiences worked well on simple buyer processes. But maybe there's a way to explore what should landing pages or lead generation pages look like for a product that isn't so A to B. Very nicely articulated, by the way. When I measure it on Google Analytics, the traffic is coming in. So I hear this all the time. I get a lot of traffic. but then nothing else happens. And it's not bad. I think average is 30 seconds average time and then 2 to 1 views, but it's not generating leads. Okay, so based on some of the stuff that I talked about, it solves for some of these things, right? The other thing I'm going to tell you is if a page is research heavy, if buyers are research heavy, anything that you supply me with, like the average time spent on this page, is relative. Do you think that 30 seconds is an appropriate amount of time to research a complex product? Probably not. Maybe it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I have manufacturing clients where it's like 5 minutes. They're spending time consuming a lot on the page. If you have a technical buyer, they don't like the marketing speak. They want a lot of details. So it's also a lot to do with the ICP and how they like to consume information. If before you were getting 2 visits per user, so they're returning once, but you know that the average number of website touch points before they even become an MQL is 31, you're like, I need you to come back a lot more. I need to give you a lot more information. But these are those types of positive and negative indicators we're going to look at to understand, are you supplying your buyer with the right information? And what I want to do is, in your case, I want to share this from one of my clients. This is a university for extended education. So not college degrees, but this is for MBAs, that kind of stuff, right? Which is then a choice for an adult. We have to take the time. We have to take time away from our families. It's an additional investment. We don't know if it's going to be a good enough investment. So when we did landing pages for them, this is exactly the kind of results I look for, which is not the landing page itself, but is it doing a good job educating the buyer for what happens next? So she said, when I said, hey, how are the pages performing? This is the head of marketing there. She goes, from a blended approach. Oh, actually, this was not for the university. This one was for the company she was before that, which does traffic cameras. So it's sound thinking. So they do traffic cameras, screening, how fast responders get to places. So it's that kind of stuff. So she goes, from blended approach, we had a few hand raisers coming in from that specific landing page, right? Which sounds right. Very few coming in on the main landing page. But what I noticed is that they would land on that landing page and then convert on the general book a demo. So if I'm thinking about my journey, I go to a landing page, I consume the information, I put it in my business case deck, I go away, right? Because now I'm getting approvals on what I've read and I'm trying to collect information. I can't find your landing page again, right? From the ad. I'm doing some other stuff. What do? I go to your main website, Edge Technologies, and then the direct hand raiser goes up and you're sitting in the reporting meeting going, man, direct is up this month, but paid is down. I think I'm going to kill all paid because we're just getting direct traffic anyway. What's the rising tides lifts all boats? That's kind of how we have to look at measurement in B2B, is that it's not just one, it's an aggregate. And that's why I said Pranav, because he talks about that. You want to know the effectiveness of LinkedIn, then you have 2 choices. You can either cut LinkedIn entirely and see if your pipeline changes, or you can double your spend and see how significantly pipeline changes. And we're going to look at that correlation and causation, because that's how we have to measure things in B2B. Okay, so then she goes, if you see the hand raiser trends on the left, we had 149. So I always tell clients too, you work with me, you will likely get less conversions. No one wants to hear that from a landing page person. But what you will do is get higher density of ICP. You're going to get better quality conversations. And we're going to look at that and look at those signals together. Okay. So she goes, if you see hand raiser trends on the left, 149 and 68 qualified, meaning that lead quality was way better. Bofu did amazing from Feb to March. And the landing page is what we're driving traffic towards. So that Bofu, which is the demo page, that's kind of along the line. So what she was seeing was people were coming to that overview, the segment pages, they're reading. And they're like, you know what? I want to date this person. Fill out the form. So you can see that it did have a downstream effect on that primary page that comes in later. So I left these results in here for you, Jake, so you can look at a different way of maybe also reporting on some of those things, because the landing page itself may not be the problem. Okay. I mean, that image, the text on the image might be a problem, but other than that, I can go in here and give you some tips on messaging because I know we're at time. But just know that from a measurement perspective, this is the thing that is almost the hardest thing to evangelize, is to say we need to look at measurement differently and we need to not focus solely on conversions. It's like telling the story of Cinderella, but you're like, okay, and she went to a ball in a pumpkin, and you're like, wait, what? I have zero context of what happened before and after. We're like, what happened to the pumpkin? Why is she going to a ball? Who is she? We haven't done any of that. So can you tell, like, conversions is just like one small part of the story that needs to happen before and after. Does anyone have any questions on the measurement component? I know it's a little bit harder to absorb.
I think this is like just the thing we all have to continually practice, no matter what sort of like campaign you're running, or like landing pages is just one like avenue of marketing where this really shows up. But if you're running a demand generation effort or any sort of brand awareness play, it's like this all comes back to light
Yeah.
over and over and over again, because it's not just like a flip of a switch, and conversions aren't the only thing. So great advice.
Yeah.
Foundation,
I
honestly.
talk a lot about this. I'm happy to supply you with this. I also have a deck that I can provide everyone where you can just like copy and paste some of these things when you're reporting, because the unfair thing that marketers have to go through is that our sales cycles can be 3 months, 6 months long, but we have to report every month. I don't know how that works. Who made that decision?
Mhm.
That person's probably laughing, not even working in our industry anymore. Like, hi, gotcha, suckers. Now this is best practice. Good luck with everything. But this has helped me in those reporting meetings I had to go to, and say, hey, maybe we're not seeing a ton of stuff right now, but what we are seeing are better, like better quality ICP, better quality conversions. It's a little bit slower. We should give it more time. Here's some agnostic proof as to why we should give it more time. So these are the types of things that we're looking at: is, are we moving in the direction to the conversion? And then what happens after the conversion? Are those good conversions that we're fighting for? So ultimately it comes down to that. Okay.
Tosh, I have a question for you.
Yes.
On this last sample you showed with the hand raisers in the pipeline,
Yeah.
are these people self-identifying themselves in some way? How do you know who's who when they come through?
Well, in her case, a hand raiser is someone who has filled out a form. And then obviously anyone who's converted into pipeline or deals right here. There are a couple of ways that you can look at it. So when we're talking about the pre-conversion, say they have not identified themselves, you can use tools to do that. We can talk about the morals of these tools at a different time. But you can use anything. Like I see a bunch of people using like lead feeder and things like that. And you can at least identify them on an account level. It's kind of harder. Like even those sites have like a 40% match rate. You kind of just have to respect the fact
They
that
haven't,
they're,
but they haven't volunteered their information. That's sort of the downside to me. Is that, but my point is that these people are coming through. It sounds to me like it's a two-step process. These people are coming through to download a white paper or whatever it may be, some kind of tire kicker offer. And then once they're into your system, you take them to a second page to qualify them. Does that sound about right?
I mean, usually I don't start with, I'm not saying like everyone should do a white paper. If you do that, that's fine. Like a lot
Or
of people
something
collect
similar?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at this matrix too, it's very like there's the intent and what focus we need to do for these landing pages. So with these, assuming with the white papers, even though Erica got a ton of downloads, are they ready to like buy something from her? Probably not, but now they've
No.
just kind of, and she knows too. She's like, we're doing it for awareness. Cool. But then at this point, you could retarget them with more educational messaging and assume that for these education focused landing pages, you are focusing on giving them information and not getting information from them just yet. And so you're kind of making your way around this counterclockwise. No, this is clockwise to the demo or sign up experience, that's happening here. And it's okay. Like you are enabling the buyer to self qualify before they muddle up your CRM anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
All right.
Sorry, I did have another question unless there was a question in the chat bot first.
Go ahead.
how do we settle the debate between like including features and outcomes on landing pages? Because one thing that I've had to kind of fight with when I was working in-house is that like, you know, my manager or the head of marketing, whomever, always just like, oh, you have to have like all the features and all the outcomes. And I'm like, no, because that's too much information. I think depending on the campaign and who we're targeting, we should focus on maybe three features that are relevant and then tie them to outcomes so we can like show the whole story. Like, this is the problem you have, these are the outcomes you can expect from us, and these are the features that enable it. And like that's kind of the way how I do mine. But you know, you've seen like with a bunch of B2B websites and landing pages, they kind of put like everything on it.
Everything.
Yeah, so like, do you have sort of either a winning formula? Is it dependent on the campaign? Like, do you add features? Do you add outcomes? Do you add them together? Is there like an answer?
Yes, there is an answer that I use because it's the same thing, right? As especially if a company's been around a long time and we keep adding things and adding features and adding offers and services, then that becomes a thing where it's like this bloat. Everybody wants you to keep adding it, and you have no choice but to just suffocate the buyer with these features. So what we actually do, in my process, when I actually create landing pages for buyers, we'll do a buyer's business case. So the business case I was talking about, I'll make that for your company. And when they give me a list of all the features, I make them prioritize. I'm like, if someone came to you, you had 2 minutes at an event to explain what you do with your most important use cases for your product, what are you going to tell them? You're not going to tell them every single integration that happens or whatever, right? But you're going to go with the core use cases, why your company exists in the first place. Sometimes, this is just an example. There are some of these where there's like 20 features in here. But what I do is I group them. And I use this analogy because clearly at this point you guys have determined I like analogies. But if I'm walking through a mall and I walk past a shoe store and the guy's standing outside and he's going, leather soles, okay, shoelaces. And I'm like, okay, are you okay? Like, is everything fine? Do you want me to get you a drink? But if I walked in and I was like, hey, so I'm 5'2", I'm a mom of two, I used to wear heels. I can't run after these gremlins with heels now. Like, what are my options so that I don't look like a small child myself? And then they're like, oh, have you seen platform sneakers? They have the memory foam soles. You won't trip over these laces and yada, yada. So what I do is the same concept here, which is we list out all the features of a product, and then we do a toddler matching game, which is we group them into themes, and I put them into problem themes and solution themes. Here's the problem. This is like a fake accounting company I made up. And then I realized someone told me it's a real accounting company. So sorry, Tally. Okay. Yeah, I know. Just, yeah, it was very interesting. Okay. So too many expenses fall through the cracks, right? And then now you can talk about them in context of how this company solves that particular problem. And so you can say, okay, you have whatever, a mobile app, right? And then it comes together using, like integrations. They can just take a picture, no matter if it's Slack or the app or email, it all goes into the system in one place, no matter where your receipts are. You're talking about the features and context of the problem that they solve. And then I force a company to make it a maximum of 4. Some companies will have 6, and I'm like, okay, we have 6 themes. What would you say are your 4 most important themes? And one thing I tell people too, a landing page, if I do a landing page for you, it doesn't mean it's a silver bullet and it's a 10 out of 10. And you're going to go like shoot to the moon and I'm going to ring the NASDAQ bell with you or whatever, right? That's not how it's going to work. It's going to be you probably on your own because you have 45 projects you're working on. Could you become really good at landing pages? Yes. Do you have the time? No. I've had the time and focus to be able to do this and do the reps. So for me, my landing pages, I would say are a 7 or 8, whereas your landing pages might be a 1 to 2. Okay. But you can test yourself, test your way from a 2 to a 10. It's going to take you a lot of time, a lot of focus. Or I can give you an 8, which is the best first hypothesis, and we can test to a 10 from that point. So when we have 6 different themes sitting here, I'm going to have you prioritize, and we're going to keep those 2 in the bank, and we're going to test them. So what we did is for one company, we put 4 in the main area. So this is kind of where they go. They go into these themes, right? Here, which is the meat of the page. And then we put the additional 2 in the FAQs because we know the FAQs are the most interactive with block on the page. And then we let the heat map data tell us whether Any of those are more important. So then when we see, oh, 15% of clicks on this like third FAQ, we understand that that's a theme that the buyer cares about. And then we push it up and we replace it with something that we're seeing are getting lower interactions. And that's why I talk about it not for B2B, it's not conversion rate optimization, it's consumption rate optimization. It's how buyers are consuming information on the page. And we need to make sure we're supplying them with the right information so they finally decide to engage with us.
All right.
You're
Well,
doing it the right way.
I
with
love
that-
that. I love consumption rate optimization. That's a new one for me.
Yeah, that's trademark. Yeah.
you
TM.
got it here first. So with that, we're going to have to wrap up for today, but I know there are more questions, there are more things that people would love to talk to you about. So Tass, where should people reach out to you?
Please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Tass like Sass, Berber like Sober, the Scroll Lab. You can go to my website, fine. Talk to me on LinkedIn. I'm there all the time, probably too much. You have questions. Obviously, this is the stuff that I like. I nerd out on this stuff. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. Yeah, just find me there and you'll find everything else from there. So
Yeah, and we'll be sending out all these resources that Tass mentioned in Industrial Marketing Collective. So if anyone wants to, if you're not in IMC yet and you want to be, I've dropped some links there, but industrialmarketingcollective.com is how you request access, and we'll get you added because it's a good group. And
yay.
And Jake and Audrey and Luke, your landing pages, Tass is going to mark them up with even more details, and we'll be in touch about that too.
Amazing. Yes, I will finish it all up today and then you'll have them. So,
All right, good deal. We appreciate that.
of course.
So for next time, we are going to be putting together again on August 6th with Gorilla's own Eric Schlosser, and we're going to discuss a topic I'm sure is fresh on everyone's minds. I think it even came up in the chat once or twice. Tailoring your digital presence for AI search. As with AI and live webinars, it's show up or get left out. So we'll hope that you'll be here. But until then, thanks so much everyone for being here. Tass, great job. Well, we loved having you on board. Hope that we see you again soon.
Yeah, we could have done like a 3-part series, I think.
Oh, bring me back. Bring me back. We'll talk about LinkedIn next. And then, yeah.
Hell yeah. That would be great. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, you guys all have a great rest of your day. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.